Hi there, Sid. How are you? Don Giannetti.
I am good. How are you?
Very good. So you're in New Hampshire.
Way up in New Hampshire. I'm on the New Hampshire Massachusetts line, so I'm in southern New Hampshire. A
Fantastic. And you're a music and fine art photographer.
little bit of both. Yeah, I kind of have my feet sort of dipped in both ponds a little bit. I went to a 4-year fine arts college, and then when I got out, I really wanted to start doing sort of more commercial work, which has been an interesting learning process. So I kind of do both. So I sort of I do more of the commercial work to kind of pay the bills, and then when I have enough time, I sort of work on personal projects that are sort of based around my interests and stuff that I've done since I was a kid.
Well, that's so you finance your fine art through your photography.
Try to.
Sure is a, sure is a, for me, it's a whole lot more fun doing that than financing my fine art, by, working in a cubicle somewhere.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I when I first got out of college, I did a couple of cubicle jobs, and I'm not one of those people. I can't exist in a little workspace and everything. I've got to have
Yeah.
a free schedule. I've got to sort of work a little more, freelance.
Well, how long you been doing this?
I have been like officially doing it since 2004. I went to the New Hampshire Institute of Art, graduated in 2004. The first thing I did was I got a studio. I needed a place where I could put all my stuff and I could get into the mindset of, okay, this is where I am. I'm officially going to work. I got to leave the video games at home. I just need a place where I can go and just sort of get into the mindset of creativity and make it.
Absolutely.
Um, and it took a while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I had graduated from college, and that was kind of an assignment based type of school. And all of a sudden, I got out of school, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't have any teachers kind of barking at me. What am I going to do?" So I kind of went through this search period, and at first I started listening to like everybody, and they were telling me what I should do. And my dad said, if I want to make $1 million, I need to take portraits of people's pets. And I'm like, so I'm like, all right, I'll try it. I'll see what that's like. So my parents have two little Shih Tzus, adorable little dogs. Brought them into my studio. I wanted to do sort of a Christmas present for them one year. Within 10 minutes, the little boy Roscoe, he like pooped all over the studio floor.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I started making a mental list. I'm like, okay, I don't want to shoot anything that poops on my floor. And then my mom was like, well, if you want to make $1 million, you need to take pictures of people's kids because they eat that stuff up. And I'm like, all right, my friend Vanessa's got, a 3-year-old. Let's try this. Brought her into the studio. And
Sorry, somebody's Skyping me right here in the middle of this thing here. So the little kid, however, did not poop.
no, so a little kid came in, just like I was like, I'm not set up for little kids. I don't have that mentality. I was just a ball of nerves the entire time. So mentally, I sort of made a check mark off of that, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to do pets, don't want to do kids, and I just kind of kept going, figuring out like where do I feel comfortable, what feels natural to me. And I was in my studio one day, and to back up a little bit, I've always been a big music appreciator. I listen to music like crazy. Can't play music, but I have a huge record and CD collection. I love music. And I walked into the studio one day, and it was like somebody kind of walked up and just punched me in the face, and they were like, "You love music. You love making mixtapes." I used to make little designs, jackets for the mixtapes for the friends that I did. I'm like, why am I not serving musicians to help them make images that they can use for promotional materials or CD or album artwork? Like that's right up my alley.
Right.
It's weird because I think it was just so obvious that I just hadn't thought about it. Like I was like, well, maybe I don't know. So once I started doing that, I started researching a little bit. And then I just kind of started doing it. It just happened at that very same time. A friend of mine was opening a music venue in our town. And all of a sudden, I had all these like New York jazz and singer songwriters that were showing up. I had this venue where I could just start pooling resources, and I would just go up to them and just be like, "Here's my work so far. If you like it, the next time you come to perform, let me know. Come a couple of hours early and just come to the studio, and we'll just kind of mess around to help me build a portfolio." And that was kind of how I got that rolling, and it sort of worked out really well. And then at the same time, I started doing headshots because I love that kind of 3/4 head and shoulders
Mm-hmm.
shot. And so that's kind of my two niches that I've sort of really been concentrating on is sort of headshots for local businesses and corporate and actors and musicians, and then the music stuff both in studio and on location for promotional publicity, album artwork and stuff. Not really into the live concert stuff, and that sort of stems to when I was in school. I was all about controlled lighting, and I have to have complete control of where I put my lights and where I put my subject and where I've got them looking and that whole thing.
Yeah, I think the live stuff you've got to really like that. To me, it's like event photography. You have to really get off on the spontaneity and the fact that you don't have control on it. So I've never been a event photographer. That when I go to concerts, I just want to listen. I don't want to work. So
Exactly. Exactly.
so yeah, I get that. Very cool. So you're in New Hampshire. So you've what's your closest really big metropolitan would be Boston then, right?
Boston's 45 to 50 minutes from where we are.
Okay, so New York's about 3 hours.
Yep.
Do you get down into New York to market your
Not,
stuff?
no, not at all. I still feel like I'm kind of taking baby steps. I'm hitting the Boston market, but that's kind of where I've stopped at this point. And I need to branch out, although some of the musicians that I've worked are based out of Boston. And so I try to ask them to word of mouth kind of spread my name around as much as possible. But I haven't sort of, hit the ground in New York yet and started sort of busting my hump.
I was going through your portfolio earlier. You need to do that.
Yep,
You,
I
you
do.
need you need
With
to
my
get
wife,
down to
both
New
both
York.
agree.
Um, they won't come to you. You have to
No,
go to them. I have a very good friend who's a music shooter in New York. He spent very much in the same way you did. He was working for VH1 as
no.
their Save the Music coordinator,
Okay. Yeah.
and he wanted to break out into photography. He said, "I don't know what to do," and I said, "Well, have you considered music?" He said, "Oh, well, that would make sense." So instead of going for rock and roll, it's all classical.
Good. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, there's everybody in the world wants to shoot rock and roll, but there's a very small group of people out there pushing the classical. And he's shot everybody from Wynton Marsalis. He shoots for Yamaha. He's really building up a good market there. But it's tough. You got to keep plowing and pushing.
You do. You have to. You just like the people that finally make it are like the last ones standing. Really, you just got to
Yep.
keep going.
Yep.
Got
You
to keep
want to be
going.
standing up when the smoke clears, baby. That's what happens.
Yes.
Well, that's excellent. Take us through some of your work here. Tell us some of the shots that you're.
All right. The first two, I'm assuming you can see this, right? Like,
Yes, I believe we are recording your screen. Yes.
okay, cool. So these first two shots, and this ties into a little story I want to share really quickly. Beginning of last year, I one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to just start reaching out to musicians who have had some sort of an effect on my life. Just because like I've listened to their music for so long, and music is a big part of my life, and so there's been major milestones and things that have happened in my life where certain music it's tied to that memory.
Sure.
So the first two images are of two female singer-songwriters. The first one is Jennifer Kimball, and then the woman next to her is Jonathan Brooke. And in the early 90s, they were both part of a group called The Story. And they just had these amazing harmonies that I'd never heard two people. There was lots of dissonance in their voices, and they were so good. So it turns out just as I started to reach out to these people, a friend and a saxophone player that I had photographed 7 years ago was producing Jennifer Kimball's new album, and she hadn't recorded a new album in 10 years. So the minute I found out, I reached out to him and I was like, do you think she'd be scared if I emailed her? Like, I don't want her to think I'm some weird, creepy dude. And he was like, no, she's totally down to earth. Send her an email. So I just sent her a really nice email, and I was just kind of like, you don't know me from anybody in the world, but your music has been such a pivotal part of my life. Here's the link to my website. Please take a look at my images. Would you entertain the idea of, if you're ever anywhere in the area, or if I could come to you and just make a portrait of you, no cost associated. It's just my way of meeting you and thanking you for, you know, at this point, the decades of music that has just been so important to me. And right as I was sending that email, Jonathan Brooke, who was the other half of the story, she was actually going to be touring through the area. So I sent her pretty much the same email. I'm just like, you're going to be in the area. Here's my website. Please take a look. You know, if you think the work is strong, let me know. I'd love just to get a shot. Like whatever amount of time you have would be amazing.
Let me ask you something, Sid. Before you push send, how many butterflies were in your stomach?
I cannot explain. I mean, you know, it's like, it's hard because, you know, I try not to put people on pedestals, but these are, you know, these are musicians where their music is just so ingrained into me. And I'm like, okay, I'm about to send it, you know, like just randomly send an email to these people that mean so much to me, and they don't know who the hell I am. And I'm like, and they could think I'm just like a weirdo. So like, usually what I try to do is anybody that I run into, even if I see somebody in the street who I think just, God, has such a beautiful face, I walk up, I hand them a card, and the first thing I says is, you know, I'd really like to take your portrait. Please go to my website. And I figure if that's the first thing, I don't want them to think I'm some sketchy guy with a camera. I'm like, sure. I want to show the work is strong. And if they don't like the work, they don't have to contact me, no hard feelings, whatever. But I like to approach them with, this is who I am. I'm a professional photographer. This is the quality of my work. You know, if you've got the time, I would love to take a portrait of you. So I emailed the two of them. Jonathan got back to me. She was like, oh my God, I really like your work. You know, come to the venue. We've got a little time before the gig after we warm up. So it was awesome. And I had maybe 20 minutes with her. I didn't want to take a whole lot of her time. I sat her on the steps that were going up into the sort of the green room where the band hangs out before the gig. My wife was there. We had a light. Just got a really simple, beautiful shot with her. And I just love the colors, and everything worked out really well. And then with Jennifer Kimball, same thing. She emailed me back, and she was like, oh my, she's like, your work is really nice. She's like, why don't I come up and visit you at your studio? And I was like, oh my God. So she came up and she spent like 6 hours with me. We didn't take a single picture. We just connected. And at the end of that, she came back again, and we spent another 6 hours just randomly shooting images just for the hell of it. And she liked that experience so much that when she was getting the packaging ready for her new album, she approached me and she said, I want to hire you to take some images for the new record. And so all of a sudden, because I took the chance, you know, I was shooting images that were going to be on her next album from somebody whose music is just so important to my life. Mm-hmm. And that for me, that's the strongest thing, is just, it doesn't cost you anything to reach out to people that you admire and that you want to photograph, and just do it. Like, if they say no, you know, like whatever, at least you tried.
They didn't send out death squads, right?
Right. You know, like, it's, no one's going to like come out and punch you through the monitor or whatever. They're not going to laugh at you or what, like, just do it. Take the chance. It's so worth it. And especially, you know, like, if you're confident in your work, then there shouldn't be any problems.
And then, outrageously enough, I mean, when the people on Facebook find out that you actually, quote, worked for free. Let me wrap my arms around this, Sid. You actually made photographs for the pure joy of making photographs, and that led to a job?
And it wasn't somebody coming to me saying, I don't have any budget, but I want you to photograph me.
Oh my God.
Imagine that. It was purely just, I want, you know, these are the people that I want to meet, and I want to thank them for the art they've created. This is how I can thank them, by just, you know, getting with them and just connecting with them just a little bit, even if it's 20 minutes, just to be able to thank them and then give them something in return for everything that they've given me over the years. So I thought that was really cool.
I think it's extremely cool, my friend. Very.
Yeah. So, and then this page is set up sort of for a lot of the music portfolio stuff. This is a local musician named Matt Jackson. He was in the studio doing a recording. He was sort of taking a break. And I was just kind of playing around, taking test shots, and I really liked sort of the different temperatures that the lights in the studio were giving off. And so I just cranked my ISO, got really grainy. I'm a kid. I was trained on film, so you know, like I just love high ISO. I like giant pieces of rock salt on your film. Like there's so much rock that you can hardly even see the image through it. So I really like big, fat, grainy images.
Tri-X that you can use to sand wood with.
Exactly.
There
Yes.
you go.
Yes. So we did that. And then this is another local musician that she runs the syndicated radio show Dream. Oh, I completely forgot. Dream Farm Radio. And she was coming out with a new album, and she wanted some stuff for her CD packaging. This is a local Boston photographer who also, I mean, a Boston musician who teaches down at Berkeley. And I love to shoot clean. And I love to shoot people. And like my wife likes to shoot landscapes. And to me, it's not complete unless I have somebody in the landscape. The landscape to me is just, you know, part of the overall image, but I need to have people. And so this is just a lot of the band and musician work that I like to do. I like to keep it really, really simple and real clean, like I was shooting on film. Just kind of flipping through real quick here. But I just love musicians. I love their ability to write notes and create music out of nothing.
I think you need to also, honestly, I think you need to get your work in front of all the graphic designers and PR agencies in Nashville. And Sid, there's a ton of them. And you know, they do these press junket shoots. Generally a day and a half of photography. They have a flat fee generally. I think I want to say 3,500 or 4,000 that they pay. It's a day and a half. But the fact that you're in New Hampshire provides a different context because, you know, they're in Nashville's different topography, different aesthetic, etc. I really think, you know, it would certainly wouldn't hurt, my friend.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine who just moved down to Nashville the last couple of years. So yes, it's right on there. I'm right on the same page with you. Okay, so that's music. And then I also do a lot of headshot photography. I like to keep everything I like to shoot on solid colors, either white or black or some sort of mid-gray. I'm not a big fan of the fake wagon wheels and the Olin Mills and the Mark Lawrence-y kind of things in the background, which is good for what it is. But I approach it really clean. I just think a nice tight headshot, just crisp and clean and sharp. I shoot in color, but I really push black and white on the clients because I just think it looks so elegant. And these are just examples of a lot of the local. She's a local writer for a local arts and entertainment magazine. This young lady is an actress. And the other thing I like about doing headshots too is I never know who's going to come in the studio. I never know what kind of story I'm going to learn.
Always meet the most wonderful people as a photographer. It's my favorite part of it.
It is. And you never, it's one of the things, like when I schedule my sessions, I leave enough time. Like I tell them, I'm like, this is not going to be a 15-minute sort of like brick factory, you know, it's not going to be a quick session. I tell them, leave enough time. Like if we're doing an afternoon session, leave the entire afternoon free because you're going to come in and I'm going to show you all the lights. I'm going to show you what they do. I'm going to show you the intensity of the flash so that, you know, their eyes don't freak out. And a lot of time we'll shoot a little bit. I'll put the camera down and we're going to talk. We're going to gab. I'm going to tell them about movies and I'm going to tell them about, you know, all the toys I have hanging all over my walls here. And I'm going to learn about them and we're going to talk a little bit and then I'm going to shoot a little bit. And over time, they sort of build this trust and they relax. And that's when the stuff really starts to come out. The expression, you know, becomes more natural. And a lot of people always look at my work. I have this big wall of display prints in the studio, and you know, they always say, "Well, you know, your images, you know, it brings out the real person and everything," which can kind of get a little cliche. Like it's kind of something that everybody kind of says. A lot of my work, of course, I've got a guy here with a big smile on his face, but a lot of my work, I try to go for closed mouth smiles. Sometimes like a little bit of a smirk, kind of like they know something that you don't know. To me, that just feels a little more warm than sort of what my wife calls the show the human your teeth kind of thing, like that, just that instant, giant, teethy, goofy grin kind of thing.
Hmm.
I just lost track of what I was saying. So, but I like to keep them really simple, and I like to go nice and tight, just to bring out the face, and it just brings your eyesight right into meets right into their face. You go right into their eyes, and I like it. I never know. I had this one little guy came in years ago, little guy, big bushy beard. He kind of looked like um, from the first Jaws movie. The little guy with the glasses and the beard that was the sea Scientologist. I can't remember his name, but he looked just like him. And I was like, and he was really nervous and he was really skittish. And the company he had worked for had booked him, so he just kind of showed up, but real nervous, really mousy, little tiny guy. And at the time, I had these anime figures that I photographed, and they were sitting on a bookshelf. He was really fidgety, and I was like, okay, let's take 5 minutes, grab a water, relax, just relax yourself out a little bit. And he saw all the anime toys that I had, and he kind of skittered over to them, and he instantly he started pointing at them, and he started naming each one. He called them by their name, and then he would name the series, the television series that they were from. And I was like, what the hell just happened? Like what happened? And it turns out when he gets home from work at night, he goes down in his basement and he turns on his computer. He downloads Japanese animation that will never have like English dubs that they'll never release in the United States. So he downloads them, he watches them, he translates them, he subtitles them, and then they burn the subtitle into the cartoon on the screen, and then he re-uploads all this stuff on the internet so fans can download it and be able to read the subtitles and figure out what's going on while they're watching the show.
Wow.
Right. This little tiny mousy guy, like just completely closed off when he first came in, totally nervous. He was uncomfortable. There's all these lights going off. There's this weird fat little bearded guy with a camera jammed up against his face. He's just totally uncomfortable. But the minute he saw that stuff, he just completely let his guard down, and he was like, oh, you know what? You're into the same stuff. And he just got totally relaxed. And I was like, oh my God. He was like, are you going to go to the Boston Anime Con and da-da-da-da. That is what I love. I absolutely love that stuff. You never know what kind of connections you're going to make. And that's why I love doing headshots, is because I don't know who's into what. The only thing I don't get into is I'm not a big sports person. But, and the only time I ever run into that is like if it's a CEO of a company and they're just like, oh, let's talk about the Red Sox and everything. And I'm like, meh. But other than that, like, I'm just a big pop culture junkie, and I love movies, and I love anime, and I love music and books, and just so usually I've got something that I can kind of reach out to and tag them on. It's like if they mention something about a movie, like I'm off and running with that.
They're like touchstones that you both can. I mean, once you have that touchstone, that thing that both of you can latch onto, you have this shared camaraderie. I think it's an art form, and one of the things that worries me when because I work with a lot of photographers, is when I meet somebody who doesn't seem to be interested in other people.
Right. Yes.
And that's fine. There's a lot of people like that. They make great still life photographers and food photographers. It's still kind of tough in this business because art directors don't hire photographers. The dirty secret is they hire people who do photography. And so you gotta have that. But if you don't have that ability to read people and to flow with people, it's hard to be a portraitist.
It is. As much as it is about the image, it's also about the relationship.
Yep.
You have to communicate. I've seen so many students, like when I talk to students and I'll watch them, or you'll go to a meetup and you'll have a subject sitting there waiting to have their picture taken, and you'll have people that just walk up and they can't communicate, and they're trying to tell them what to do, and they're like, well, look up. No, look the other way. No, the other up. No, they can't. And it's like, you have to step back, and you have to, they're just a person, and you've got to just relax, and you have to communicate, and you've got to make them feel comfortable. If you can't make them feel comfortable, you're not going to take it that extra step.
Yep.
And some people they love sort of the factory assembly line type of shooting, and that's good and all, but for me, there's just that extra. If you really want to get a nice shot, you've got to be able to talk to them. And when I was growing up, I'm an only kid. I retreated to toys and movies and books and comics and everything. I like when I was in high school, I couldn't even go up to the counter at a McDonald's and order food. I was so shy. And when I got out of school, I found out very quickly, like, if you can't talk to people, you're going to get stepped all over. And when I was in my 20s, I worked at a series of record stores, retail. But one of the things that was awesome was it was something I was really into, and it gave me the chance to develop my communication skills with other people. Like, we're talking about music, I'm all about music. Let's talk about it. And it just, I found a way to communicate better. And once I got into that, I was like, okay, now when I start taking portraits of people, now I can really sort of go that extra step and connect with them rather than just sort of, like steal a shot or take a shot or a series of shots and pull one out of there and hope that one looks good. Now I can actually work with people and I can just communicate with them. And that's the most important thing. Like, as important as an image is, you've got to be able to sort of form that connection.
It's the connection that gets photographed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I answered a question on Quora. The question was, who's the most beautiful model and subject in the world? And my answer was whoever's in front of my camera right now, male or female, it doesn't really matter. They become the most important person in my life, period. I'm not listening to the music. There's music playing in the studio, but I can't tell you what it is.
Right, right.
Totally with them through that viewfinder.
Dead set. It is. It's almost like, let me go back to this one shot. This is a local girl that was doing modeling for a little while. And she had the map of Ireland on her face, this first girl right here. Just absolutely beautiful. And it's like, for that time that you're together, and it's not really like you're falling in love with them, but you have to be invested in them. And it's just like, she is so gorgeous. It's like intimidating how beautiful she is. And she's just like, you fall in love with her when she shows up.
Yep.
And you're not really falling in love with her, like not in a creepy way.
No, as soon as the camera comes away from your face, it's over.
Right. Exactly. And it's just, for me, you've got to do it. It's women, men, it's all the same. It's the minute they're in front of you, man, it's all about them.
It's all about them. And it's pretty great. It's a great feeling to have a portrait go that way.
It is. And so right now I'm on sort of more personal work. I'm a big comic book fan. I'm just a nerd. I'm just a big fat 12-year-old basically with a beard. I'm a nerd. So like this shot right here, this is a buddy of mine that I went to college with. He basically thinks he's Hugh Jackman. I went out and I bought these replicated movie claws from the Wolverine movies that are like based off of the molds from the actual movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I call because I'm like, all right, this is like perfect. I've got somebody that looks like him, and I've got the claws. I'm like, this is going to be. I have to do a personal shoot. And I couldn't even finish the sentence when I called him. I'm like, I just bought these replica claws, and he was like, I will be there tomorrow. And so we just spent an afternoon together, and it's like, just shoot, like, pardon my French, just shoot the shit you love. Like, that's the most important thing. It's just shoot the stuff that is important to you. The guy that taught me at the New Hampshire Institute of Art, Gary Sampson, wonderful, wonderful guy. And I always loved the way he talked about portrait photography. He would say, with photographs, you're taking something where you're saying, I love this thing, and I love this thing so much that I want to photograph it and I want to show it to other people. I want to show them how much I love this thing. And that really hits home to me. It's like when I was a kid growing up, just a total nerd, and it was in the mid 80s when being a nerd really wasn't a very popular thing. Nowadays, like there's comic movies and it's just become a whole thing. But now it's like, all right, I can reach back and be like, this is the stuff that made me who I am. Like, I have no problems being a big comic nerd that plays around with puppets and whatever. And I want to photograph that. And I want to show people that this is the stuff this is what's important to me. This is the stuff that formed, my character. And the same thing, this little kid, friend of ours, I love the Legend of Zelda video games, man. And he was dressing up as one of the characters, Link, from the game. And I'm just like, we have got to get him out in the middle of the woods, and I've got a smoke machine, and I just want to take pictures. And that's what we did. It was like the hottest day in July a couple of years ago, just sweating everywhere. But we got a whole series of images that I think they're awesome, and he looks awesome in them. And it's just the ability to. I just love shooting the stuff that I love to shoot. You know.
Yeah. Are you? You mentioned you came up on film. Are you shooting film at all?
I do. I have a fridge full of FP 1000B since they
Well,
discontinued
you
it.
do like that high ISO stuff.
Oh, I'm telling you, man.
You can
Love grain. I love grain.
you can
Um,
sand chrome with that stuff, man.
man, you could re-detail cars. I I've seen I've had like I've got a bunch of. It's funny because when I was in college, it was all film. I had an RB 67, which is like a tank. It's a German tank,
Love it.
and I hit that point in 2004 when I graduated. I had a studio full of film equipment, and it was right at that point when everybody was moving over to digital. That summer was when Canon released the Digital Rebel. And so I moved into the studio and I had a studio full of film equipment, and I did my first headshot on film. And they were like, okay, so when do I get the file? And I'm like, okay, well, I got to process the film, and then I got to make some contact sheets. And I'm explaining this to them, and they're looking at me like I've got 6 heads. And they're like, I want a file right now. Like, they're like, I want to be able to have something that I can put up online. And so I kind of put the film stuff in the cases, and I had to sort of transition into digital. And so in 2004, like, I kind of had to lock the film away. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know, what the hell, how do I calibrate my monitor, and how do I calibrate my printers, and what is this all like? This isn't what I'm used to. I'm used to dodging and burning and contact sheets and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a really interesting transition over. Recently, the last few years, at the end of my sessions, I'll break out the film equipment and I'll be like, you know, just bear with me, like, humor me for
Yeah,
30 minutes.
exactly. Humor me on this.
And they're usually like, oh, what's it? And then just recently, for the last 10 years, I've been squirreling away money. I bought a used Phase 1 P30 back for my Hasselblad 500 CM. It's my favorite camera in the world. I love that camera. And I found a good deal on an older back, and I wanted something that I could shoot to a card, just because, like, every time I opened the camera case, that camera would yell at me. Like, I felt ashamed because it was just sitting there collecting dust. I'd open it up and I'd grab the digital camera and I would have to, like, apologize to the Hasselblad. I'm like, I'm really sorry. No, like, I promise I'll come back and get you. Just hang in there. I need to go do this right now, but I'll come back. I really will. So I just got that last summer, and I'm still learning the intricacies of how this digital back works and focusing. And it's crazy. Medium format digital is nuts. Like, you get the shot, it looks amazing. But if you even slightly miss that shot, poof, you just completely blow it. So I love. I like digital because it's quick. You know what I like digital for? I like digital for color prints. Traditional C prints, we had a C print processor in the college. And I remember making C prints, and within like 3 years, like, the colors had already started to fade. So what I find kind of cool nowadays is, like, with all these, you know, digital pigmented inks and stuff, at least you've got some longevity to the prints, which I think is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, I used to shoot a lot of black and white in the film days, and since I switched over to digital, I've shot more color. I shoot more color now, because not so much because I can pop the colors in Photoshop, but just because I know if I make a print, like, I can hang it up and it's not gonna, like, fade on me in a couple of years. So I like that. That's kind of cool. But film, man, I like digital, but there's just this intrinsic quality that film has that digital has yet to be able to replicate.
I agree. I think digital for a long time digital just wasn't there yet. I don't care what anybody said. Digital camera would make a beautiful image. It would, but it wouldn't match the resolution of a Hasselblad or even a Nikon for a long time. I think that's pretty much over. What the difference is, there's a patina that comes from film that's not in digital. It's not that I like one better than the other. I just feel like I have a bigger toolkit. It's
Yep,
like when
exactly.
you go to the art store and they got the little one box of colors, and then next to it, and it's like $12, and then next to it there's the $30 box, and it's got colored pencils and shit. That's what film is. It's that we got more stuff.
Exactly. It's more
Options.
cool.
Do you remember?
Exactly.
Do you remember getting a call for a shot, and you first thing that come to your mind was format? Is this a 35 millimeter shot? Is this a 2 1/4 shot? Should I shoot this on 4x5? I miss those days. Everything's the same camera now.
It
And so
is. I know.
film gets me back to that.
Absolutely. There are certain things like I've got a Toyo 4x5 build camera that's, again, it's just sitting in the case. And there are times where it's like I'll frame up, and I won't have the camera with me, but I'll frame up a portrait shot, and it's like, all right, this is going to be passable on a a 35 millimeter DSLR and everything, but where this would really look good, like be on a nice 4x5 chrome, like, oh my god. But and it's not, and I get it too, because it's like I can get kind of lazy sometimes, and I'm like, all right, well, if I had the 4x5, would I even really attempt to take the shot when I'm trying to move quickly and I don't want to lose their interest and stuff? But there's times where you see something and it's like, okay, with what I got right now, I mean, everything's a compromise in photography, right?
Everything.
Light, lens, to the camera, to the sensor, to the whatever. So it's like it's like, all right, I wish I had the 4x5 because, oh my god, 4x5, but I can pull it off with what I've got, and I can still make a strong image. But I'm right there with you, man. I see in like a Hasselblad square, like I just love it. Like I look at stuff, and one of the reasons why I got into shooting the musician stuff is I see in a square. So I'm seeing CD and album covers. I'm seeing a 12-inch square album cover, and a lot of times I'll shoot bands and they won't know. Like I'll give them a proof set, and I'll be like, okay, tell me which 5 or 6 that you really like, and then we'll start getting them all ready. And they're like, okay, well, I've got the images now, but then they don't really know what they do with them. They're like, okay, so I got pictures. What do I do with these pictures? And so with bands, after I do a proof set, I'll just do little mock-ups. I'll make 3 or 4 little tiny, like 100, not 100, but like 500 by 500 pixel squares, and I'll do a fake album cover, and I'll throw their logo on there or their band name and blah 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 blah. And then I'll take one of the images if I've shot it on like totally white, and I'll do a 13 by 19 crop, and I'll stick their logo up at the top. And like, here's what a gig poster would look like. So you give them this little thing, and all of a sudden, like the light bulb starts going off, and they're like, oh my god, like this one and this one would look great as a cover, and this one would look great as the back cover, and we could put the song titles on the left. And I love that stuff. And like when I was a kid, like I was making mixtapes for friends, and I'd get out of the public library, and I would like totally abuse their photocopier. Like I would make unfolding jackets, and I would make collages and photocopy them so that when you give them the tape, they pull it out and they've got to unfold like 8 pages, and there's all the song notes and there's all kinds of artwork and stuff. I just love that. I just love putting packages together. So when I started shooting with the musicians, I'm like, now I can really just be like, well, if you like the images, here's an example of what an album cover might look like, and you can kind of upsell it a little bit. And it's like, all right, well, for X amount of dollars more, I'll do the package design for you. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't have to go to anybody else. So I really like that, like the melding of images with sort of that square format design. I just love album cover design. I just love it.
I can sit and talk to you all day.
So let me.
I'm going to let you go, but I need to get one question answered.
Okay.
You got a young photographer in front of you today with a pretty decent portfolio.
Yep.
And they're saying, Sid, give me one piece of advice that I've got to really, really understand before I make a full commitment here.
Oh my God. It's totally not what they would want to hear. I would say, in all honesty, you have got to be nice. You have to be a nice person. I've met so many photographers that are just jerks, and they think being jerks is the way to be, and it's not. You've got to be a nice guy. You have to be nice. You have to be, 1, confident in your work. 2, just shoot the shit you love. If you love thimbles, do a portfolio of thimbles the way nobody has ever shot thimbles before, or toy, or old coffee cans, like whatever it is. Just shoot the hell out of it and share it. Like, to me, that's what photography is about. It's about, like, I did a whole series of toys that are slightly nude. Like they're really weird. I called it the Plastic Erotica series. I've got it up on the page right now. And like, these are little like 6 to 8.5 inch plastic molded figurines, but they're so lifelike. And that's just, it's so incredible. Like the fact that they're making these, and it's awesome to do like a fine art series like this and present it, and then wait for the feedback, because you never know what you're going to get from people, and it's like, some people are like, well, who the hell buys these things? And like, I had the first image here where it's sort of the picture of a woman's back, and you can kind of see like her rear end, and there's a little bit of a cheek there. I had a large print of that hanging up at the studio, and people would come in, band guys would come in, instantly run over to that wall, and they'd be like, who's that? And I would like walk over to my bookcase, and I'd be like, actually, it's her right here, this little 8.5-inch toy. And I did that whole series, not because I'm a creepy pervert, but because it's so fascinating that they're making things that are so lifelike.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just shoot the stuff that you love. Shoot, if it's anime or toys or whatever, just shoot it and share it, and be confident in that. Like, don't be embarrassed because you like toys. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what made you who you are. So be proud of that and tell people. Like, I proposed to my wife using a puppet. Like, I got ridiculed so badly after that, but I'm like, you know what? Screw everybody. Like, I did this for me, and I did it for my wife because I'm happy that she makes me that creative. Like, she inspires me to do shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that, like, and screw the haters. So just shoot the stuff that you love and share it. And at some point, people are going to see it and recognize it and start associating you with stuff. And the jobs will come. The jobs will come. Just bust your ass. The jobs will come. But just shoot the shit you love, man. Just shoot it.
I think no matter what it is, there's a market for it out there somewhere. The big challenge is finding that market.
Yep.
It just is. That's just the nature of the game. I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know Gary V.
No.
But one of the things he says is, if you want to, if you like Smurfs, you can make $70,000 a year on a Smurf channel on YouTube, just on Smurfs.
Yes.
It's not easy, but nothing worth anything is easy.
No. Got it. It's worth busting your.
It's a challenge, and that's but you have to be the best Smurf guy on the planet. You got to know more about Smurfs than anybody else. But hey, it's been great chatting with you, Sid.
Oh, anytime. Let's do it again.
We definitely will do it again, my friend. We definitely will. I'm going to. You're going to send me some photographs. I'm going to post them up on the site here with the little questionnaire. And I hope you get a lot of people visiting your site, man.
Perfect.
And I'll be up to New Hampshire hopefully this fall. I'm going to go to Boston, rent a motorcycle.
Are you?
Going to ride up Highway 1 there. I just want to go up into Maine and up maybe all the way over to Halifax there on a bike. And see what it's like. I've been there. I was there 3 autumns ago, and it was just, whoo, it was beautiful.
I'm in New England. If somebody could create an environment inside a bubble where it's fall year round, sign me up. I would move there in a minute.
It's my favorite time of the year. Absolutely. I like fall and winter. Spring is okay. Summer, oh man, I could do without summer. I think I've had enough.
Yes.
Sid, it's great talking to you.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, sir.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.